Breaking news. Well, it's breaking news for me, so I'm breaking it to you.
After 35
Somali Airline
years,
is
Somali
back
Airlines
after
way soo laabatay.
35 years.
sanadii markay ahayd 1991 ayaa la joojiyay Somali Airlines inay wax duulimaad ah ay sameeyso. Ever since wadankeena Somali Airlines ugu maqneed hadda ay soo laabanaysaa September bishan ugu soo foolay.
Break news ayaan kula wadaagi doonaa. Waxaa dib loo soo celiyay Somali Airlines. Saad u dhac muuqaal ku aragteen maanta oo ay bishu tahay 20ka Agosto ayaa waxaa la daahfuray Somali Airlines. waxaa social media haysta soo noqoshada diyaaradda cad ee Soomaaliya 1991 ayaa la joojiyay Somali Airlines. September 2deedana dib ayaa loo furi doonaa. waa warkii ugu farxadda badnaa. imise ayaan ku haminay ama qof kasta oo Soomaaliga uu ku hamiyay in uu ku safro diyaarad isagu uu leeyahay. dad badan oo waxa jira xanuunsan oo Hindiya iyo wadamo kale aada waxay ku safri doonaan diyaaradda Somali Airlines ee lagu magacaabo xidigta cad. diyaaradan ayaa saaxiibayaal wadamo badan ka caawinayaan Soomaaliya sidii loo soo celin lahaa waxaana la daahfuri doonaa duulimaadkeega koobaad September 2deeda. bal xogo faahfaahsan oo kasoo baxaya diyaaradda Somali Airlines ayaan kula wadaagi doonaa. channelka like subscribe san muuqaalkana meelkaasi commentigu maanta waa Somali Airlines ha noolaato. come back Somali Airlines.
Breaking news. Well, it's breaking news for me, so I'm breaking it to you. Somali Airlines is back after 35 years. Isn't that so amazing? Obviously, I'm so excited to support this venture because I want to travel to Somalia. I want to be able to support everything Somali owned. So how amazing it is that now the government has helped launch this airline back to the country for the people. And we got to make sure we're doing our part, supporting it, making sure we're booking those flights. It's going to set to launch next month out of Mogadishu, and it's supposed to hit up all the major cities within Somalia. So that's exciting because I plan to go support, I plan to go visit Somalia soon, and I want to be riding on Somali Airlines. So go follow them, go support them, and see me on one of their flights.
Somalia's government is in the process of reviving the country's national carrier, Somali Airlines, which ceased operations 34 years ago. Somalia's Transport Minister Mohammed Farah Nuh said on Monday, July the 28th, that the state had acquired 2 new Airbus A320 aircraft. The Airbus A320 sits up to 180 people. A new Airbus A320 costs more than $100 million, while the average cost of a pre-owned one is $25 million. Somalia plans to add 3 more aircraft to its fleet. According to the government, the revived airline will start operating in around 2 months' time. Transport Minister Farah described the development as Somalia's powerful symbol of resilience, rebuilding and renewed national pride. Farah further said Somali people travel a lot and that the revival of Somali Airlines would enable the citizens to travel with aircraft bought using state funds and owned by the Somali people. The Somali Airlines was first launched in 1964, flying domestically and to several destinations in Africa, the Middle East and Europe. During its early years, the airline thrived, offering reliable services with a modest fleet. However, the fall of the administration of Somalia's then President Mohammed Siad Barre in 1991 marked the airline's collapse. Its operations were grounded during the nation's subsequent civil conflict. For nearly 3 decades, Somalia's airspace was being run by the United Nations International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, regional office in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Somalia, however, secured control of its airspace in June 2018, and in January 2023, the country's airspace regained its Class A classification, which allows for higher performance aircraft, airline and cargo operators. The revival of Somali Airlines is part of the government's plans to strategically position Somalia's aviation sector, which faces stiff competition from the neighboring Kenya and Ethiopia. In late June 2025, Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud launched construction of a $643 million airport in efforts to decongest Aden Ade International Airport in the capital, Mogadishu. The new airport is being constructed in Hawaii area of Middle Shabelle region, located more than 110 kilometers northeast of Mogadishu.
Somalia is making history again. After 35 years, Somalia Airline is expected to return on the skies on September 2026. It actually stopped operating back in the year 1991. And the Somalia Airline return isn't a route map. It's actually a sign of the state rebuilding itself. Just for context, this particular airline stopped operating following the collapse of the Somali control government and the outbreak of the civil war. This particular airline was founded back in the year 1964, and the initial fleet is expected to include 2 Airbus A320 aircraft. And it's turning out this particular airline used to connect Somalia within a destination across Africa, Middle East, and even Europe. Let me give you a brief of how everything turned out and this particular airline ended up collapsing. The civil war in Somalia started back in the year 1988 and intensified after the overthrow of the president, Siad Barre. It's turning out this particular man had ruled Somalia since 1969 to 1991. Remember, it was a military government. And in the year 1988, when this particular civil war started, the armed rebellion against its own government escalated into a major fighting in the northern Somalia. And that is how the rebels ended up overthrowing that particular government. And instead of a new government emerging, different clans started fighting with the armed faction. In fact, they were fighting over the control of Somalia. And that is how everything ended into destruction, displacement, and even the collapse of the state's institution. And that is where this particular airline totally collapsed. And right now, it's yet to be revived this particular year, 2026 September. But the real date has not yet been confirmed for the inauguration. Keep watching, we'll keep you updated.
dowladda federaalka Soomaaliya ayaa mar kale ku dhawaaqday inay dib u howlgelin doonto calansidaha Soomaaliya ee Somali Airlines isla bisha soo aadan ee September kadib in ka badan 30 sanadood oo ay hawada ka maqnayd diyuuradan oo lagu naanayso xidigta cad ama White Star taas howlaheeda caadiga ah ay hakadeen kadib qarxii dagaalkii sokeeye ee bilowday markii la riday xukuumadda militariga ahayd ee Maxamed Siyaad Barre oo ka dambeeyay dagaal sokeeye waan ilaa imika si rasmi ah u dhamaaneen. Ahmed Macalin Xasan oo ah agaasimaha guud ee hay'adda duulimaadka rayidka ee Somali Civil Aviation Authority SCAA ayaa waxa uu ku dhawaaqay in qorshaha dib loogu duulinayo Somali Airlines uu imika marayo maraaxiishii ugu dambeysay isla markaana duulimaadka koowaad uu bilaabmayo bisha September. Somali Airlines waxay ku jirtaa marxaladii ugu dambeysay ayuu yiri Xasan oo ka hadlay kulan ay lahayd dowladda federaalka Soomaaliya. Duulimaadka koowaad waxaan qabaa inuu bilaabmi doono September sanadkan haddii la yiraahdo waanu bilaabi doonaa ayuu raaciyay. haddaba yaa Soomaaliya ka caawinaya arrintan dalalka Turkiga, Pakistan iyo Malaysia ayaa la sheegay inay yihiin jaalasha caalamiga ah ee Soomaaliya ka caawinaya inay dib u howlgeliso calansidaha qaranka Soomaaliyeed ee Somali Airlines. doorarkan waxay u kala leeyihiin sidatan. Turkiga ayaa waxa la sheegay in uu diyaaradan ku lamaaninayo midiisa Turkish Airlines oo la sheegay in duuliyaal iyo howlwadeen diyaaradan ka shaqayn doona lagu tababari doono xarunta Turkish Airlines Flight Training Center oo ku taala magaalada Istanbul oo ah xarunta Turkish Airlines. halkaas oo la sheegay in tababar degdeg ah ay ku qaadanayaan duuliyaasha Soomaaliyeed iyo shaqaalaha diyaaradan ka howlgali doona. Pakistan iyo Malaysia ayana waxa la sheegay in wasaaradda gaadiidka iyo duulimaadka rayidka ah ee dowladda federaalka Soomaaliya ay ka caawinayaan dhinacyada farsamada, maamulka iyo sida loo maareeyo sahayb ee Airbus ee diyuuradaha samaysa ayana la sheegay in dowladda federaalka siinayso laba diyuuradood oo ah nooca loo yaqaano Airbus A320 oo ah raxanta ugu horeysa ee lagu bilaabayo duulimaadyada sida ku cad heshiis dhacay 2025 oo sanadkii tagay. caadiyan diyuuradan Airbus A320 ayaa waxay qaadi kartaa rakaab u dhaxeeya 150 ilaa 180 balse haddii kuraasida la isku sii dhaweeyo oo si cufan la iskugu shaqlo waxa la gaarsiin karaa ilaa 194 rakaab sida ay warbixintu sheegayso. si kastaba se arrintan ayaa waxa imika aad u hadal haya warbaahinta caalamka waxaana u badan tahay in markan ay xaaladdu ka duwan tahay sidoo hore oo markasta la sheegi jiray in Somali Airlines dib loo howlgelin doono balse ay
Well, news has been going around enough that Somali want to bring back the Somali Airlines, which has been grounded for nearly 30 years. Well, for reasons well known because of the civil war and, of course, a lot of mismanagement here and there. And no one is asking this one big question. Will Somali Airlines be allowed to fly to Europe? Will Somali Airlines be allowed to fly to the America? Will it be allowed to fly to the Middle East, where maybe they might get some, some leeway? These are the big questions because, again, as much as each and every country in Africa want to have its own airline, like you see the Eastern African region, each country has its own airline. I don't know who sold this concept to many of these East African countries or African countries that they need to have airlines. Actually, what these countries need to do is to talk and have one airline that can serve the entire region. Instead of each and Ethiopia having its own, Somali, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda. They are just some airlines that even people in those countries are not even flying enough to help these companies even make a profit. Now back to Somali. Because now you're looking at Somali Airlines that is now, they're saying it's going to be ready to fly as early as this September. But again, many questions are now lingering whether they'll be allowed to fly into these other regions because, of course, we know the misconceptions that are there about Somali, about the government in place there, and, of course, the whole security issue in Somali. And sometimes, yes, this is like a perception that most of these European countries or even the America, of course, with Donald Trump, they can't allow Somali Airlines to just fly into Washington or Chicago. The JFK Kennedy, airport. They can't be allowed to travel there, to land there, because again, the misconception. So maybe not unless Somali Airlines want to maybe fly within just the East Africa region, maybe to Kenya, maybe to Uganda, maybe to Tanzania, maybe to Oman, maybe to Yemen, or maybe to, even Dubai, maybe. We're not sure, but again, it is quite interesting to know which places will Somali Airlines be able to fly. Others, it is a good idea to have a national airline. But again, my point has always been we don't need to create these kiosk airlines. Each and every country having its own kiosk airline. Kenya Airways has been making losses now for the past, 10, 15 years, making losses each and every year, amounting to millions and millions of Kenya shillings. So I think it's high time that we come with one regional airline. We don't need to have these kiosk airlines popping up here and there.
This is your captain, Abdullah Yusuf, speaking, and thank you again for choosing Air Somalia. Now we're ready to taxi after the delay for 3 days. The television is not working, but we're flying through South Sudan. You can enjoy Animal Planet from your right-hand side window. And the information about the flight, the toilet is not working. And we have 2 toilets sitting in first class. For the flight attendant, we have Aisha sitting at the back there. She's a little bit crazy. Please don't ask her for any information. The landing is not a guarantee. Last year, we have 1% make it to Mogadishu Airport. Sit back and enjoy your flight. And thank you for choosing Air Somalia.